Good morning, everyone. I hope everybody's doing great. I'm Pam Jones. I'm the contract nurse here at Senior Services, and I wanted to talk to you today about the isolation that a lot of us feel because of this virus that's going around, and some things that you can do to help eliminate that isolation feeling that you have. There's so many things that we don't even think about from day to day that we can do. And so I wanted to show you, and I've got lots of uh, props and things that I can demonstrate this with, but we want to go over at first some of the things that might cause you to feel like you're isolated. A lot of times when we're away from our loved ones, or we can't get in touch with friends maybe, or that we're used to seeing people come and visit us and that type of thing, we can feel isolated. And coping with that kind of stress is it makes the community stronger. So we want to make sure that you're protected and know how to deal with the stress and some of the fun things that you might can do to alleviate that. So stress during this type of outbreak of an infectious disease can bring on all kinds of things like fear and worry about your health and other things. It can change the way you eat, your sleeping habits, because your mind might be concentrated on what's going on around you, or maybe not being able to be with your loved ones. It can cause your health to become worse. Anything that causes a negative feeling in your life can also affect your physical health. It can also affect folks who already deal with things like depression or anxiety. And so it's important that we learn how to have some good coping mechanisms to help us with that. A lot of people sometimes will maybe take too much of their medication for anxiety, or maybe even begin to indulge in alcohol or too much alcohol, and that can be detrimental to your health as well. So how do we respond to this type of pandemic and this type of isolation that we are experiencing now? And we really don't know when this will change. When we'll be back to quote normal. So different people respond differently according to your background, the way you were raised, and the situations that you find yourself in. So older people, like our seniors here at the Senior Center, who also have chronic diseases, it seems to affect them more, and you guys more, than it would the younger crowd, although children and young adults are affected as well. And people who are helping with this pandemic can also feel isolated, because a lot of times they may have to isolate if they've come in contact with someone. And then people who, like I said before, have deal with things like anxiety and depression. So I'm going to show you some things that you can do to help you cope with this pandemic, and also the isolation that you might feel during that. So I have lots of object lessons here I'm going to go over with you. And I love object lessons because I think it helps us to remember what we have heard. And it'll help us to think back about, well, that's what I need to do. I remember seeing that. So that's what we're going to do today. Now, anytime we know that when there's a negative in our life, that negative has an outcome, and it's usually not a good outcome, like negative thoughts, or negative conversations, or the news, or things like that could give us a negative outlook on what's going on around us. But then there are some things that we can do that are positive outcomes, and that's what we want to concentrate on today. So I'm going to do a little object lesson for you to show you the negative and the positive. So the first will be the negative, and this is what happens when we allow those things to come into our lives and really dwell on them and think about them, and how it makes us feel, not only mentally, but physically. And so I've got a little object lesson here, and I'm trying not to make too big a mess, but I have a clear cup. You see the clear cup, and I have a sponge. and I'm going to squeeze what's in this sponge out into the cup. And you can see it's filling up the cup, and that'll be enough for you to be able to understand. So this cup, what we squeezed in that cup represents the negative thoughts and feelings and things that are going on in our lives. You can't see through that. It's like muddy water, okay? It's not good, okay? So now we're going to see when we put good things in, good thoughts, keep our mind occupied with good things, maybe things that we have done in the past that made us have a good outlook on life. And so when that happens, and we put good things in, here we have, that's clear, and that's not muddy and dirty and just kind of yucky. You wouldn't want to drink that, I know, not the first one, the second one. So you can see how much clearer that is and how much better that is for you. So here's the negative, and it's really dirty, muddy, and then you have this beautiful red, clear, and that's the good, the positive, and that's what we want in our lives, is not the negative, but the positive. Okay, so I'm going to show you some things and tell you some things that you can do to make your life more positive while you're in isolation or while you're at home, sheltered in place, I think is the way they have, some of our government officials have put it, to protect us from the virus. So the negative things that we put in at home, we have to be careful of. Now, there's nothing wrong with these things as long as we do them or consume them in moderation. So things like cheese balls or chips or soft drinks, those are okay in moderation. But if we consume those too much, we'll be like this muddy water. That's a negative effect on our body. And so we want to do things that have a good effect or a positive effect on our body. Positive things make our body feel better. It makes our outlook on life, we feel better about our outlook on life when we do positive. So some of the things that you can do, first of all, of course, negative in, like I said, when you eat is like that. But positive in will look like this in your body. And positive in will be things like, I have a basket here with all kinds of vegetables. I have squash, zucchini, peppers, carrots, and of course there's lots of other things. And some of these vegetables can be cut up and put in aluminum foil and seasoned and popped in your oven and roasted, and they're very good for you. It holds in all the nutrients, so you get all the good things from these. And all of these are so colorful, just like our good positive in our little cup here. Some other things that you can eat, and I'm a fruit lover, so here we have blueberries and strawberries and apples or oranges or bananas. Those are all good, and they all have vitamin C, which help boost our immune system. So these are good things for you to eat during the day and keep your immune system built up. And also water. Our body's made up mostly of water, so we need water. It's important that we have water and enough water during the day. And that depends on how much activity you have, but also you want to stay hydrated because that's good for your body. Now, some other things that you can do along with eating right and taking care of your body, some other things we can do to break up the monotony of being at home and maybe not being able to be with family or not being able to be out and about, is to watch a comedy on TV. I've got some pictures here that can go along with some of these things so that to help you remember. And I thought this one was really funny because if you've been able to watch the follies on Facebook. You have our Hee Haw crew here from the Senior Center, and that would be really funny to watch. You could re-watch those actually, and get you laughing, because laughter produces good chemicals in our brain that make us feel better. So watching a comedy on TV, or the things that the Senior Center sends out for you to watch, that really will help you to maintain that good, healthy attitude during this pandemic. Also, you can listen to your favorite music. You can rekindle an old hobby. There are a couple of seniors that I've talked to that love plants, but they haven't been able to have any in, like maybe in their apartment. And so there are some really easy, fun ways to do that. You can cut off a potato or a sweet potato and put that in some water, and it will grow out the prettiest green foliage you've ever seen. And it's just beautiful to watch something grow. So that's one thing that you could do if you like to work out in the garden and can't get out there anymore. You could also have that growing in your home. And it's very easy to take care of, not a whole lot of activity involved in that. Another thing you could do, maybe you like puzzles, or with the gentlemen, some of you like golf, and so you could go get your putter and your golf ball and go outside and practice your putting with your golf ball and your golf club. I know that's a lot of fun. I know a lot of you that played golf before probably love that and maybe miss being able to go to the links. But you can always practice on your putting at home, and you can get better and better at it. So it's a lot of fun, and you can make it challenging for yourself as well. So that's one thing that the gentleman can do. You can play with, if you have pets, you can play with your pet. So we have a lady here who's playing with her dog. She's getting ready to throw a tennis ball for the dog to play with. But if you're inside and can't get outside to play with your dog, there's lots of little toys that dogs love to play with and play catch and fetch. And so that would be a lot of fun to play. And that gives you positive feedback. It gives you positive feelings when you're playing with your pets. Another thing you can do is you can journal your feelings. You can write down how you're feeling each day. Write down what one positive thing that happened to you that day. And sometimes you can go back when you're having a bad day and read your journal and say, well, hey, I had a good day that day. I remember that day. And just remembering that you wrote it down and you went back and read it, and it gave you a positive feeling that day, it'll give you a positive feeling on the day that you're not doing very well. So those are some really good things to do. Journals are they're very inexpensive. And it's really worth the time to try that, because it's really positive. Another thing you could do is to read a good book or your Bible. Those are some good things to do just to keep our mind occupied and not just sitting and dwelling and thinking on the things that are going on around us, all of the negative things. Another thing you can do is get out and walk around the house, or walk in the house if you can't get outside. You can also do some stretches. That's really important to keep you flexible and to get good circulation going. And it also helps your mood when you start to move around. Here's another picture of some seniors doing some arm stretches too, and that's the upper body stretches. So these are good for you to keep your circulation going and to increase and boost your mood. Some other things that you can do is sometimes sunshine, even if it's not outside, can really make us feel better. There's something about sunshine that just brightens your day, makes you feel, it's not so gloomy, and all the gloominess that's around us right now with all that's going on in our communities and all over our country. Getting out in the sunshine and absorbing that good vitamin D that comes from the sunshine, and just being outside in the fresh air is so good. So you can sit with maybe a neighbor that, maybe if you're living in an apartment complex and you've got a neighbor You can distance 6 feet or more and talk with a neighbor outside sitting on your porch or on your stoop. Here's a gentleman that is sitting outside. It looks like he's in the park, but he's sitting outside enjoying the sunshine, and looks like he's really enjoying it, resting and just taking it in and just soaking in just the beauty. And here's another picture of someone who's in a sunroom, just sitting in the sun with his wife, and they are enjoying the sunshine. That's really important to brighten our mood and to help us to have the positive coming in and not the negative. And something else you can do is you can call a friend. You can call loved ones. You can call your pastor and talk to him. So those are some ways that we can reach out and touch each other. Calling a friend might even lift them during the day, and that gives you that good positive feeling because you were able to help your friend feel better after you talked with them, or maybe they did the same for you. So it's really important that we reach out to each other. We have lots of folks that we can call and communicate with. And that's important that we stay in communication with each other so that we know, hey, are you okay today? How are you doing today? Is there anything you need? Can I call someone for anything to help? And so being able to help someone else always makes us feel better. And that's always a positive outcome from communication with other people. I know stress can be overwhelming, and if you have stress 2 or 3 days in a row and you just can't quite snap out of it, you can't quite get there, you're just, after all these things that we've talked about today and you're still feeling down and blue, call your doctor and let him know how you're feeling to see if there's anything that he needs to talk to you about, or maybe that's something that he could do. If you're already taking medication for anxiety, I would recommend that you not increase your anxiety medicine, but to call your doctor, because there may be something else that he can do without the added medication. Sometimes over-medicating, as we get older, our body doesn't assimilate medication like it used to, and you could get too much, and we wouldn't want you to have a fall or to get so drowsy from your medication that you might get hurt somehow. So call your doctor and talk to him and let him go over this with you, and the two of you can decide what would be the best next step. And they're happy to discuss things with you. Most doctors right now are doing telemed, so you can call them at any time and they can talk to you about any kind of problems that you're having. And then you also have other resources. There are resources from Cardinal Innovations that you can also contact Cardinal Innovations, and they can also help you with those feelings of just not quite being able to overcome the anxiety or maybe the depression that you might be going through during this pandemic. So in saying all of that, I hope that everyone stays safe and well. We are so excited during these times that we can reach out to you guys and give you some positive feedback and some things that you can do to help you during this time. And we can't wait to see you guys again. We love you all. Hope you have a wonderful day. It's a beautiful, sunshiny day today. Hope to see you soon.